Hi everyone, it's Tammy at Frou-frou Studio. Welcome back. Today I'm going to be working on the hashtag Moss in the Scratic daily challenge for January, which is a scrap busting ephemera challenge hosted by Release the Craftin'. Priscilla has come up with this list of prompts for each day in January, and you're to make ephemera using each of those prompts. It doesn't have to be moth themed, but you can definitely do it moth themed if you like. You can get a copy of this. I just did a screenshot, but you can get a copy of this by jumping over to her YouTube site and checking out her introduction video. And she has a link and instructions for how you can get a copy of this. So today I'm going to be catching up because I didn't start until yesterday, and so I did rust yesterday and I made this tag. And so what we're going to do today is the corrugated and the packaging, and that will get me back on track. So I was trying to think of something for corrugated that I haven't done before. And I think I showed you all this tag that I have in my stash that I'm going to end up putting in the journal at the end that is on corrugated. And I think it'll fit in nicely kind of with the theme that I'm going for. So I didn't want to do another tag. And so what I decided to do was make a page tab. So let me move this out of the way because that is all for the packaging prompt. And we're going to work on this. Now, I did cut this ahead of time because I didn't know if it was going to work or not. And I went ahead and did my messy stitching on here because, again, I didn't know if it was going to work. And it did just fine. I had to do two separate pieces rather than folding it in half and trying to do it into one piece because it was too thick. I used the envelope punch to make these little corners because I wanted my tab longer than what a tab cutter would cut it. And you can see I didn't worry about my stitching being straight or anything like that because, you know, this is going to be kind of a grungy journal because it's things you found in the attic, and so those aren't going to be pristine for sure. So the next thing I have is a piece of drop cloth because I felt like that if you went up into an attic in a home, abandoned or not, there would most likely be drop cloths thrown on old pieces of furniture and things like that up there. So I do have this piece of drop cloth, and I am going to grunge it up a little bit with some inks and some stamps. And I'm going to put this in between here on just the front side, like that. The back side will just be the corrugated. And so when it fits on the page, it's going to fit over the page like this. So first of all, let's grunge this up a little bit. To do that, I'm going to use, like I said, I'm going to use some inks. So I'm going to take some archival inks because I know they'll be permanent on this. What do I want to use? let's use coffee. I've had this one a while, but I think it probably still has enough juice in it. Let me get my glue book over here so we don't get it everywhere. On my glass mat. And let's just plop this down here and get some good staining on here. Yeah, like that. Okay. And then let's take some frayed burlap, and I am going to use my oxide for the edges and just kind of go around the edges a little bit and give that some grunge. Okay, and do the same thing on this. Hope everybody's having a good day today. We've actually got some decent weather today. Sun's shining and it's not too freezing cold. I don't like cold weather. If you're new to the channel, you'll know. You hear me gripe about cold weather. Don't like it. Okay. Now, like I said, I'm going to glue this just to the top part. Like that. So, I'm going to take my Fabri-Tac, the glue I love to hate, and I'm going to run it right along the edge here, and then I'm going to glue that on there. Make sure that I get it all covered up so I don't glue my two pieces together. Try to get it somewhat straight. I don't care if it's completely straight or not, but somewhat. Okay. Oh, before I did that, I wanted to put this piece of lace under there. Duh. Let me do that before it glues all the way. And I also wanted to put this little piece of fabric. This is just like a fabric that has some French writing on it that was in my scraps. Okay. So that's good. So now what we're going to do is work on the top so that this isn't such a sharp edge going down through there. So the first thing I have is just a little bitty scrap that I kept out of my French dictionary because it had those flowers on it and I thought it was too good of a scrap to just throw away. And I'm going to glue it down onto the corrugated, and we're going to see how that works. And the main thing I want to do is just make sure that I'm kind of covering that edge and try to get it down in the creases a little bit. And I might even take my bone folder and kind of press it down in there. I don't want to lose the ridges. Let me take a little bit of art glitter glue, if I can find my art glitter glue. Where are you? There you are. Because it's also on this fabric over here, I think I need something a little stronger than just a glue stick. Okay, so that is the first part, and then I have this piece of like Swiss dot netting that I want to put on here. Because it reminds me of a wedding dress, and I think you're most likely to find a wedding dress in my attic that I'm investigating. And art glitter glue dries clear, so that shouldn't be a hassle once it dries. Plus, I'm going to have some stuff on top of it. Okay, and then I've got some little labels. I might put this on here too. It's a different color, but it's kind of tattered and moth-eaten look to it. And put some ink on it so it's not so white. I'm just gonna stick that. I'm gonna use Fabri-Tac for that. Okay, there's that piece. And then I have this little moth, and this moth is from my Butterflies of the World book, which had a lot of moss in it as well. And so I went through it last night and tore out some pages that had some moss. And this is the little Tim Holtz apothecary label, and this is Tim Holtz as well. But I like the shape of it because I think it's going to fit well right in between his antennae there. Again, I'll use the Fabri-Tac. Oop, not upside down. And then this one I want underneath there. Just like that. I'm going to have to use Fabri-Tac on that. Okay. And let's put a little clamp on that for a minute. And then I'm going to put a grommet. Put my pen in my glue here. Before it dries up. Up in this top corner. Just like that. Alright, go in the hole. Now, I will say that I made this out of the corrugated cardstock. This is not out of like a cardboard box. I don't know if you could get a cardboard box into your punch, your envelope punch, but if you couldn't, you can always you know, make your own little tab edge, or you could just leave it, you know, straight on the ends. You don't have to have that little curve, I don't think. And then I have a bulb pen that I have put one of the Tim Holtz typewriter keys on, because if you remember, one of the leftover digitals that I'm using is Louisa Heinzel's typewriter digital, because it has a lot of moss in it, as well as rusty bits and things like that. So I'm gonna use this in here. Do I want it to go like that, or do I want it to go like that? I think I want the number. So I think I'm gonna do it like this. And I just have a bulb pen. I folded that number over in half and then stapled it. And then just put my bulb pen through it. I think that's gonna work okay. Yeah, I think that's gonna be fine. Alright, so we'll let that dry while I'm doing the other one, and then I'll show you what it looks like on the page. Alright, so let's move on to the package now. And you can make these, you can mass make those very easily if you wanted to make several of them. Okay. For packaging, I am going to use, get this stack out here. I am going to use a Tim Holtz packaging. I always keep all of those just because I think they make good substrates for different things. In this particular case, I'm going to make it so it's like a journal card with a pocket on it. I'm not going to do anything to this side except sand it a little bit, I think. And then on the back side, I'm going to use this kind of cream colored paper and put on the back to cover all this so that you can write on the back of it. So the first thing I'm going to do is just kind of scrape it up a little bit with my sanding disc, and I'm going to put this over here so I don't get all those little crummies. Sorry, I know that's a very annoying sound. We just kind of want to scrape it up a little bit and get these edges so that they'll accept ink, and to take some of that shiny off. Now you could cover the front as well and still have a great substrate. You could also cover it with gesso and get rid of some of the shine if you don't like that. Now I have that dust all over me, but that's okay. Hands wash, right? Already had snow flocking all over me today because I took down the last of my Christmas and it was a flock tree, and so I look like I've been sprayed with snow flock because that sticks to everything. That's always the saddest part of the holidays, is taking down everything and putting it up in the closet or wherever you store it. Maybe in the attic. We don't store anything in our attic. We have a pretty big attic. Has actual stairs up to it, but you can only stand up in the very center of it. It's not finished or anything. One of our heat pump units is up there. You could store stuff in it very easily. You could plop down a plywood floor up there and store, but right now it's just there's not really, other than to get to where the heat pump is, you know, it's just rafters or ceiling beams, whatever you want to call it. Okay. Sorry, I had to get a drink. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of this. This is a vintage letter written in German. I got it at a flea market in Germany. And I'm going to take some of this. And put on here. And some people would say, oh, that's not scrap. Well, it was bought with the intention to use in junk journals. And it's just laying out here. So really, it kind of is scrap. Because I have a whole stack of them. I think I'm going to ink this crease. And this is from the 1940s. So I'm going to glue that right on here. Hopefully not rip it when I'm putting glue stick on the back of it. Piece of paper stuck on my glue stick. This is amazingly in pretty good shape for the paper to be that old. So it's not near as fragile as some other pieces that I have. Okay, so the rest of the background I'm going to pretty much leave how it is because I'm going to put a pocket down at the bottom anyway. So now let's cover our back with our little cream colored paper here. And that way we have the option of either gluing it to the page or leaving it freestanding if we want to do that. Whoops, I just knocked my grab tag on the floor. And it's sitting too close to the edge. Alright, so we'll trim around this. And that'll give us our back covered. Now I have a punch that is kind of like this. Let me see how close it is. It's a little bit bigger, so I think I'll go ahead and do it. If I can tell. Sorry, I'm holding it up to my face so I can maybe tell if I'm getting it in the right spot. I can't tell. Let me do it again on here. Oh, it's too far. Sorry, I can't hardly see where. It's gonna punch. So this is gonna be a wing and a prayer right here. Ugh, close enough. Alright, that's a little close to the edge right there, but I'm not going to put anything in there, so I think it'll be alright. Okay, so now, although I need to put a little bit of glue right there, I don't know what that little sticky up part is, but we'll fix it. Alright. And actually, I could put a piece of fabric in there and just staple it, and I think it'll be fine. Let's try that. So if I put this in here, see it ripped. I got it a little close to the edge. That's okay. We're going to camouflage it here. We're going to put this on here. Just like that. So we're going to make it look like a tag and a tag, even though it's going to be a journal card. Alright, so if I take the stapler now, we're starting out 2020, 6th grade, fixing a boo-boo. Okay, that'll work. And then I'm going to take a little piece of this lace, because you're bound to find lace in an attic, right? Somewhere. Otherwise, what are the moths going to eat? Why are they up there? There's got to be something fabric up there. There we go. Good as new. Okay, so for our pocket, what I have, this is from a German sketchbook, and it is it's a book written about a German artist, and it's copies of sketches that he made. I got this on my... No, I didn't. I actually found this one local. At my local book junkie that I go visit. That carries antique books. And he has books that are in different languages. And I'll show it to you. It's behind me here. It is this book. And it was 20% off, $5, which is a little more than I normally spend for a book, but I really liked it. But this guy was Wilhelm Busch, and he was born in 1892 and he died in 1908. and it's filled with sketches that he did. He did a lot of sketches of people and babies and moms and choir boys. I love that. And things like that. And he also did some landscapes and things. But I thought it was just a really pretty book. So I got it, and this is one of the sketches he made of some flowers. So I'm going to make my pocket out of that. It's really sturdy paper, so I'm not going to back it or anything. And I'm just going to put it on here as a pocket. I'm going to take my little whale tail punch and put just a tiny notch in the top so you can get the card out we're going to make. And then we'll glue that down as a pocket. I think it's just a tad wide, but I'm going to glue it down, then we'll trim it. So this is going to be really monochromatic, neutral journal card pocket, or pocket, or card. And it's going to have one little pop of color that can be tied into the colors that I'm going to be using in the journal really easily. Okay, so there's our pocket, and then I have this moth, and this moth is from the Digital Collage Club. And the file, if you're a member or if you're thinking about joining, I'm not affiliated with them at all, I'm just a member, is called All Things Butterflies, I think, or something like that. But it's a pretty big file. It has colored butterflies and ATCs and fussy cuts and all kinds of stuff. And she also has these kind of neutral colored moths. So we're going to put that on there. And then I have this watch face, which my husband got me last year for Christmas, I think. He got me a whole, there was a whole bag of them that he got from someone on eBay. And I have somewhere right here, I'm going to put a brad in this hole. But I'm not going to stick it through the pocket because I don't want it to I don't want it to interfere with my card that's going to go down in there, but I just thought it'd look good with this, to have something in this hole. And I'm going to use some little three-dimensional little foam tape squares to stick it on my page so that it will stick up just a little bit. I'm just going to use like 4 of them, I think. Where's my 12? Like it matters. I'm going to put one at 12, 3, 6, and 9. Because why not? And I think that'll hold it just fine. Maybe we'll put one in the center too. Okay. I didn't quite get the things even, did I? Let's put one over here. Let's do one more. Okay, that should be good. Now let's do the tedious job of taking these things off. Concentration. So what are you guys going to do in the new year? Do you have plans for projects and things like that? Okay, so I'm going to put this more toward the top so my mouth will fit. So that you can see that's going to be pretty dimensional, but as like I say all the time, as long as you allow for that in your journal, there's nothing wrong with that. Now, this little guy is just on copy paper. And I'm going to put some of these on the bottom part of his body that's not going to be sitting on the watch, just so it's kind of more even. And then I'm going to put glue on the rest of him, and I'm going to leave his wings free. As soon as I can get all these little square things. That's the one thing. I love these little squares because, oops, I'm flying little squares everywhere. Because you can kind of manipulate them to fit on, you know, whatever you're working on. But I also don't like them because you have to peel all those little things off the back. And it's really irritating. Now I'm trying to figure out where my 3-in-1 rolled to. Where did you go, glue? Alright. Sorry about that. It went up under my chair. And of course I have a glue glob. Okay. So I'm going to glue just the top part of his body and his little antennae. Get that off my fingers. And then I'm going to stick him down. And like I said, I'm going to leave his wings free. Okay? So there is that. Now, the other thing that I want to do is make my card that is going to go down in here. And this is just a piece of leftover scrapbook paper. And I think I'm going to have to make it just a little bit more narrow. But I liked the colors with the rest of this. Now let's see if that fits. Yep. Okay, and then I'm going to take this picture, which is by Sweet Pea Curiosities. It was left over from, I'm on her design team, and this was left over. I think it's called Tattered Photographs. So yeah, you need to check out her digitals. She's got great digitals. And I'm just going to ink around these edges. And you can see it already has wonderful crackly little foldy bits. So I'm just going to kind of go where those are already and add some ink. Just to make it look a little rougher, and then I'm going to glue it on here, and I'm going to glue it right underneath this little butterfly or moth or whatever. But first I'm going to ink around this. About put glue on the wrong side, or the wrong piece. That wouldn't have been good. I think I'm going to, it's not even straight. I think I'm going to leave it kind of crinkled up, if I can get it to crinkle. Kind of like that. And I'm not going to cut it into a tag shape because I feel like it's too wide to carry a tag shape at the top. But I am going to round the corners. And I'm going to use the, if you have this one, I'm going to use the 1/2 inch. Okay, so that will go right down in there, like that. I'm going to cut this off a little bit. I feel like it's a little long. It's better. And the last thing I'm going to do is add a pop of color. And so what I have is some dried flowers, because I feel like there's most likely dried flowers in the attic, either pressed between an old book or in an album, something like that. And so I thought it'd be nice to bring in just a pop of color and put these in there. And if I can decide where I want them. Think about right there. And I'm going to use a piece of Tim Holtz cello tape to hold them down. I think I want a wide piece. Open my package here. Get one of the sheets with the wider pieces. I think this one. And I have the hardest time figuring out which is the peelable side when I first start one of these sheets. It's like a really struggle. Okay, let's see how I can get it in there like I want it. Get on there, you little booger. Uh-oh. Probably gonna lose that flower, but that's okay. Okay, and then I'm going to take some more glitter glue and glue these others down, because if I don't, they're going to all break off, because they are real dried flowers. And you could even put some matte gel medium or Mod Podge or something over it, and I probably will do that off screen just to preserve them so that they stay stuck on there. What else do I want to do? I'd like to bring in this color in one more area, or some kind of color similar. Maybe we'll take some Rusty Hinge and put some splatters. Like right up here. Yep. And then right down here, and that'll give us our triangle of colors. Okay, do I want to round the corners on this big card. I think I'll round the corners on the big card as well. Just to make it look more uniform. And to convert the package just a little bit more from its original look. I'd also like to grunge this up a little bit. I wonder if I take this little crackle stamp and take some black archival ink. I smeared it. Do I even have anything? Okay, now what I want to do is I want to excuse my reach. No, wrong one. Excuse my reach again. I want to take my clear embossing powder. And this may be too dry now. I'm going to see if I can get some embossing powder on there. Alright, now let's put the heat gun on there and see what happens. Give that a second to cool. I want to touch it and burn my hands. It is metal or enamel. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Makes it look a little more grungy. Now, let's take... I'm making a mess, guys. I don't normally work this messy on my desk. And take the coffee again. Ooh, I got another idea too. I'm just trying to make this look a little bit more grungy than it does. Is that gonna stay on there? Yeah, it should. That's supposed to be rusty. That's not rusty. I do have some rusty. This is by Finnabarb, and it is Rust Effect Paste, and this is brown rust, and you can see it's gross. This is all dried up in the top. But it isn't. I'm just going to use my finger tool. And go around the edge. A little heavier. Put some on that brad as well. There we go, much better. Much better. Okay. So I think that is our make for packaging. And let me get a baby wipe here before I have rust all over everything. And then let's pull back out our corrugated. It should be nice and glued now. And if you don't want to use your fingers with that, it works really well with the, like a little paint palette knife. I wouldn't recommend a paintbrush unless it's one you don't like and you're ready to throw away, because it does ruin paintbrushes, but palette knife, it works well. So here's our little page tab, and here's our package. Little journal card with a pocket. You could also glue it down to the page and make it another pocket if you wanted to. So let's look at them on a page. This is the journal I'm working on. This is a blue journal, so try to find a page here that it'll work on. I've got some neutral pages in here. Okay, so say it's this page. So this one you could glue down just like that. Or you could make it freestanding, you know, with a paper clip or something. And you could take it off and journal on the back of it. Or you could glue it down and make it another pocket. Like if you glued it here, you could make a pocket here. Or if you were on this side, you could glue it down here and make a pocket there. And then the page tab, you could glue it over the edge like so and have a cool little page tab, or you could put it at the top even Now your butterfly or your moth is going to be sideways if you do it that way. But if you know you're going to put it at the top, you could turn everything the other way. But yeah, that would go on the page like that. And then on the other side, you would just have a plain corrugated, which you could add stuff to very easily. So there you go. There's our 2 makes for today. I hope you guys enjoyed that. And again, it is Moss and the Scratic, hosted by Priscilla at Release the Crafting. I keep wanting to say Kraken. So go check out her channel, and you can search the hashtag and find everybody else that's participating if you want to see what they're doing. I know Belle at Bella Boo is participating. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It's only been a couple of days, but I'm really enjoying it because, you know, I like grunge. I like vintage items, and so this fits right into, you know, what I normally do anyway. So, thanks for joining me, guys. We'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow's prompt is tattered. So again, we'll be doing something grungy, shabby, all that kind of stuff. So I hope you'll join me, and let me know if you have any questions, and otherwise I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.